Coming up on the March 1st edition of Carolina Week.
I'm Crystal Calloway, and I'll show you if a different floor plan could have helped to prevent the accident that occurred at Stacy Dorm.
And I'm Tara Higgerson. Did you know students are helping pay for coaches' salaries? I'll have the details coming up.
In sports, one of Carolina's most electric and exciting players prepares to say goodbye to the Dean Dome.
Will the warm weather continue? Shelley Basinger is here with your 4-day forecast.
Carolina Week starts right now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
The UNC community joins together to remember the student who died in last week's tragic dorm accident. Good evening, I'm Shaheen Sayal.
And I'm Philip Jones. Students, faculty, and staff are honoring the memory of 20-year-old Keith Smith. Late Wednesday morning, students lined up to pack 2 buses that were scheduled to take students to Smith's memorial service in Greensboro. There was a sea of black and the mood was very somber as the students prepared themselves for the 2 o'clock memorial. There will be a vigil in memory of Smith Thursday at 7 o'clock in the pit.
This tragedy has left the campus asking why and wondering what's next. Crystal Calloway is at the scene of the accident with the latest. Crystal?
Many of the students here at Stacy Dorm have taken the stance that when it comes to talking to the media, less is more. But one thing they did tell me is that they believe what happened here last Friday was simply a freak accident.
Yes, where's your emergency?
Yeah, I'm at 318 Stacy Dorm, Chapel Hill, and 2 guys just fell like 2 stories out of the dorm.
Okay.
But the descent was actually 4 stories, from the 3rd floor of the residence hall to a basement ramp below. Almost a week later, friends and family are still grieving, and the father of Keith Sean Smith wanted to check the new window to make sure something like this wouldn't happen again. Could it have been prevented? I spoke with an employee at the Office of Facilities and Planning who pointed out several building regulations, such as the ramp below the window and the tile in the staircase at the end of the hall. Stacy seemed to meet all of these standards, but one. Hall window sills are supposed to be nearly waist high. I spot checked around campus and that was the case in most dorms, but not Stacy. The sill of this window is only about 2.5 feet from the ground, which comes to about my knees. Had the windowsill been a little higher, it might have been the obstruction needed to stop these boys from falling out. Live from Stacy Residence Hall, I'm Crystal Calloway, Carolina Week.
Thanks, Crystal.
Again, the vigil for Smith is at 7 p.m. Thursday in the pit. One woman all too familiar with the grieving process is reaching out to Carolina students this week. New York Times bestseller Joan Didion spoke about some tragic events in her life to a full house in Memorial Hall Tuesday night. She lost her husband in 2003 and her daughter this past August. Didion read from her popular book, The Year of Magical Thinking. Memorial Hall was standing room only as she shared personal memories. Didion hopes her books might help those who've been grieving.
I would hope people would gain a sense that it was okay that it was all right to grieve, that it was all right to talk about death, that you didn't have to shove it off in a corner.
The New York Times named Didion's book about her personal sorrows one of the 10 best of 2005.
Chapel Hill is known for political activism, and now a grassroots group is taking aim at the president.
Someone's in the kitchen with Georgie. Let's impeach the whole damn crew.
More than 100 Triangle residents packed into Chapel Hill's town hall Tuesday night listened as the raging grannies poked fun at the Bush administration. But it soon became clear the issue at hand was no laughing matter.
The only playbook the White House knows is the Rove counterattack playbook. They don't know truth. This is a grim situation, and we need to organize to fight back.
Alan McShirley heads the grassroots impeachment movement, or GRIM. The organization's goal? Getting President Bush out of office. And GRIM's not alone. 18 Democratic Congress members, including North Carolina's David Price, sent a letter to the president Monday, asking him to appoint a special counsel to investigate charges against him.
I think it's a forceful letter. I think it is the most solid course, both in terms of the legal precedents, in terms of policy and in terms of the politics of the matter.
McShirley says the president broke the law when he authorized a domestic wiretapping program and lied to Congress to get authority to invade Iraq. He says citizens must act now.
The torture issue is coming wide open. Certainly the illegal wiretap is coming wide open. But nothing will happen unless the people begin organizing and doing something about it.
Dan Pollitt is an impeachment expert, as well as a Kenan Professor Emeritus of Law. He's in the studio with us right now. Professor, thanks for joining us. Now, Professor, you spoke at the meeting Tuesday night. What do you think the potential impact of GRIM could be?
Should I speak? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Again, you spoke at the meeting on Tuesday night. What do you think the potential impact of GRIM could be?
I'd hate to. Well, we met to start a program to impeach the president, and I didn't hear the question.
All right, well, moving on, Professor Pollitt.
Yeah.
Do you think GRIM is going to be able to make a difference? Do you think this impeachment might actually happen?
It's hard to tell what's going to happen and what won't happen. When Rosa Parks sat down in the bus, she had no idea what might follow. All we can do is throw some pebbles into the pond and hope that others will join us and the ripples might create waves.
All right, Professor Pollitt, thanks for joining us.
Okay, I'm glad to be here.
Last month, we told you about a new committee proposed to scrap $1 million worth of plans for UNC's research campus, Carolina North. The Leadership Advisory Committee has 4 new members. Their first meeting's agenda will include a chance for committee members to get to know each other, understand the university's role in the project, and discuss the group's principles. The meeting is scheduled from 5 to 7 p.m. Thursday at the Friday Center.
Students can play an important role in another university project. The senior campaign kicks off this week to help fund the 2006 senior class gift. The gift will be assigned here at the Franklin Street entrance of McCorkle Place. Organizers are asking each senior to donate just a little more than $20 to the project.
And you can give as much or as little as you want, but our goal is to get everyone to give $20.06, so it would be $2,006, just like our class.
Chancellor Meeser is putting up some of his own money to encourage participation. He's pledged to give $20.06 if the senior class reaches 15% participation, $200.06 if it reaches 25% participation, and $2,006 if 35% of seniors donate.
UNC students gave varsity coaches a raise this year, but not by choice. Reporter Tara Higgerson is in the studio to show us how UNC student athletics fee compare to other ACC schools. Tara?
Last year, the university raised the student athletics fee from $98 to $198, and about half of the $100 increase boosted the salaries of varsity coaches in non-revenue sports.
Athletics Financial Director Martina Ballin says the increase in the student athletics fee was crucial to maintaining a competitive athletics program, and the revenues from football and men's basketball weren't enough to support all UNC sports.
The operating budgets for the sport programs have been in the bottom third of the Atlantic Coast Conference for a number of years, as well as salaries for our head coaches.
Before the fee increase, most of Carolina's coaches' salaries were comparable to those at NC State and the University of Virginia. The biggest disparity was baseball. Mike Fox was getting about $8,000 less than his UVA counterpart and almost $30,000 less than the NC State coach. The softball coaches' salaries were close, and men's and women's tennis and soccer salaries were nearly identical across the 3 universities. After the fee increase, salaries went up about 15% for Carolina coaches. Now, all 5 head coaches in these Olympic sports are paid the same or more than their counterparts. The most dramatic difference is soccer. Elmar Bolowich now makes roughly $12,000 more per year than do coaches at State and Virginia. Let's take a closer look at the 3 schools' athletics departments. UNC has the largest operating budget and more sports teams. UVA students pay more than double UNC's fee, and UNC students pay double the amount charged at NC State. Associate Athletics Director of the Wolfpack, David Hornan.
We pretty much use that revenue stream from student fees to try and improve our program, so don't really use it for coaches' salaries.
It's difficult to fundraise, to go out and ask somebody to give money to help out coaches' salaries.
So officials turn to students to pay the price.
The bottom line, even after the student athletics fee increase, UNC students are still getting a pretty good deal. Take a look at this. NC State has the lowest fee in the UNC system, about $94 per year. UNC is right below it at $198, and UNC Asheville has the highest fee in the system, almost $500 per year per student. So Shaheen, it could be better, but it could be a whole lot worse.
Tara Higgerson reporting from the newsroom. Thanks, Tara.
The cutoff date for the Beat Hunger Beat Duke fundraiser is Wednesday, and it looks like the Tar Heels might take the prize. Since February 1st, students have donated money and food to help fight hunger. This year, the fundraiser focused more on online donations. Students could put their money on their One Cards and donate with their expense accounts. Another change this year is that Wake Forest and NC State also joined the competition. As of Monday, Carolina had raised 26,752 pounds of food. The winner will be announced when Carolina takes on Duke and State faces Wake Forest in men's basketball on March 4th.
Phil, salt water that saves lives?
For the thousands of people suffering from cystic fibrosis, this could be exactly what they've been waiting for. We'll have the story coming up.
Medical research saves lives. It produces treatments and cures for killers like heart disease, AIDS, cancer. Don't let these killers get away with murder. Support medical research.
You know, Clarence, you and I should hang out more often. You know, he wears these cheap suits, but they look good on him.
So she says, why lobster?
Polyp sighting at 16L.
You never know when a colon polyp is going to show up.
Aunt Ethel, you've been ducking me since '99 at St. Mary's. You
Get
owe
the
me a
polyp
pie.
early and stop colon cancer before it starts.
Do I look fat in this?
Don't wait for symptoms. Get the test. Get the polyp.
They love me. They want me here, don't you? Come on.
Get the cure.
These are my peeps.
A generation ago, people with cystic fibrosis usually didn't live long enough to go to college. Now, the National Institutes of Health says 40% of people with the disease are older than 18. Medical reporter Lynn Thomason says new research shows a saltwater treatment might help people with CF live even longer.
20-year-old Luisa Crisco has cystic fibrosis, a genetic disease that makes it difficult for her to breathe.
I definitely have to be a lot more careful when people are sick. You know, kind of stay away because my immunity is not as good.
Twice a day, the NC State junior inhales a saltwater mist to help clear mucus from her lungs. For 40 minutes a day, Crisco coughs up thick, sticky mucus to help prevent irreversible lung damage.
This is what happens in a normal lung, but in cystic fibrosis, there's no layer of lubrication. Now watch what happens. It's stuck. Clogged mucus scars the lung and can eventually lead to respiratory failure, the leading cause of death in people with cystic fibrosis.
Generally, black-looking things are her lungs, so anything...
UNC lung specialist Dr. Scott Donaldson led the research team that studied the saltwater treatment.
The idea behind the saltwater treatment is that we put a bunch of salt on the top of an airway surface, and what that salt does is draw water to where the salt is.
So it's kind of odd to think that something as simple as saltwater solution could make such a big impact on CF. And it seems kind of silly because it's just saltwater, but it really helps a lot.
Crisco hopes her new saltwater treatments will keep her healthy so she can pursue a career in nutrition. In Chapel Hill, I'm Lynn Thomason, Carolina Week.
Surfers with cystic fibrosis reported breathing easier after trips to the beach, a clue that led scientists to the study.
Have you tasted your tap water today? You might have noticed a slight difference in the way it smells and tastes. Every March, the Orange Water and Sewer Authority uses chlorine to disinfect the water supply. During all the other months, the water supply is disinfected with chloramines to improve the taste, odor, and overall quality of drinking water. Public Affairs Administrator of the Orange Water and Sewer Authority, Greg Feller, says there's nothing to worry about.
Well, the amount of chlorine or chloramines in our drinking water is extremely low, and also it's within the limits under the drinking water standards, the Safe Drinking Water Act.
Feller adds that any difference you notice now will disappear in a week or two.
Having trouble paying your water bills? Residents of Hillsborough might get some help paying theirs. The Orange Congregations in Mission and the town have set up a new water assistance program for people who need help. Hillsborough Commissioner Mike Gehring says the town has some of the highest water rates in the region. Through the program, individuals can get up to $100 during a 6-month period to pay their bills. The program depends on contributions from citizens.
Sometimes something as simple as a utility bill or a water bill can push somebody over the edge into actually becoming homeless.
The county's Department of Social Services is helping coordinate the program. Click onto our website, carolinaweek.org, for more information about how you can help. And Shaheen, Wednesday's weather has been absolutely beautiful. It's been warm enough to go outside and play.
It has been, Phil. Weathercaster Shelley Basinger is outside enjoying the sun. Shelley?
Wednesday's weather has been unbelievable. I can't believe I'm not wearing a jacket right now. But don't put away your winter coat just yet. Your Carolina Week 4-day forecast coming up after the break.
Okay, so sometimes I turn my back on my kids when they drink at home. At least they're not doing drugs.
Underage drinkers are 50 times more likely to use cocaine than those who don't drink alcohol. Say nothing, do nothing, stop nothing.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. It takes a man to be a dad.
Welcome to Carolina Week Weather. I'm Shelley Basinger, live in front of Carroll Hall. Let's take a look at our weather headlines. You know, they say March comes in like a lion and out like a lamb, but it feels like springtime outside, and there's no better way to start off March than with these mild temperatures. And we're going to be getting into the upper 70s on Thursday, so we're going to see some warm temperatures and mild conditions in the next few days and spilling on into the weekend. But hold on to your hats if you're walking around campus. It's going to get really, really windy in the next few days. So I guess we'll be seeing a little more of that lion side of March. If we looked at the satellite map, we'd see the Midwest getting sunshine, but rain. A big storm moved in from the Pacific, and they're getting lots of precipitation. We're not receiving any of that precipitation, luckily, but we do have a few clouds over our area. But nothing to produce too much rain, but just give us those gorgeous, partly cloudy skies we've been seeing definitely on Wednesday. If we were going to look a little bit closer, there's more of a cloud cover north of Tennessee. They're seeing some rain in that area. And a little bit of rain in Virginia, but not affecting us too much again. Some pop-up showers in North Carolina, but not too much to worry about for us. So let's take a look at the surface map. The low pressure system that's dipped into the southeast is what's giving us this beautiful weather we've been seeing. But as that low pressure system moves on out, that will mean that higher than average temperatures we've been enjoying will move on out as well. And unfortunately, temperatures won't stay quite this high for too much longer. If we go to the 4-day forecast, I'll show you what the temperatures will be like for the next few days and into the weekend. Thursday, it's going to be partly cloudy, but very, very, very windy, like I said earlier, with a high of 78 and a low of 45. Friday, we're going to see temperatures take a pretty big drop, and we'll get out of those upper 70s with a high of 61 and bringing it down to the mid-30s for the low. Saturday, we'll see about the same temperatures with a high of 60, but we're going to break out of all those clouds and see some fully sunny skies. And on Sunday, we'll really get back to reality and see more seasonable temperatures with a high of 53 and a low of about 40 with partly cloudy skies. If you're making weekend plans to get away, maybe travel to the mountains and get away from it all, you'll have a pretty day on Saturday with a high of 55 and a low of 34 and partly cloudy skies, but expect to see some showers on Sunday with a high of 52 and a low of 34. If you're headed to the other direction, to the beach, maybe getting a head start on spring break possibly, you're going to have a great weekend as far as not seeing any rain. Sunny skies with a high of 59 on Saturday, becoming partly cloudy, and a high of 57 on Sunday. Lows will be in the mid to upper 30s, so I wouldn't get into the water if I were you. So it's been gorgeous outside, and it's going to be for the next few days. You know, they say there's no better place than Carolina in the springtime, and I cannot wait for springtime to finally get here. I'm Shelley Basinger, live in Carroll Hall. Phil and Shaheen, back to you in the studio.
Thanks so much, Shelley. And you guys, I am going to make sure that I get out on Thursday because it is going to be beautiful before those temperatures start dropping.
I wish they could stick around for a few more days. I love this warmer weather.
It's beautiful.
All right. Well, Sean Maroney joins us now with sports, sitting in for Michael Crow. And it seems like every time we talk, we're talking about how the men's basketball team is rolling.
Oh, they definitely are rolling, especially since you win all your games except for one in the month of February. Can't help but do a great job. Coming up, both men's and women's basketball teams face big tests this weekend. We'll preview the women's ACC tournament in Greensboro and the men's games against Virginia and arch rival Duke.
Can I help you, sir?
I found these over by the stairs.
Okay, thank you.
What are they?
Love handles. Lots of people lose them taking the stairs instead of the escalator.
Years ago, Lewis and Clark set out to discover an all-water route to the Pacific. But what they really discovered were 58 hospitable nations who could have ended their journey at any time, but saved it instead. As we commemorate their bicentennial, we invite you to walk with them at lewisandclark200.org and see what you discover, because their trail winds through us all.
Welcome to Carolina Week Sports. I'm Sean Maroney, and please bear with me. I'm trying to keep it together. Wednesday is my last home basketball game as a senior. So sad, but that's okay. Thursday, the ACC women's basketball tournament will start in Greensboro. Can the #1 Heels hold that spot? They'll need to pull together all their key assets to beat the best teams in the league. Now, this shouldn't be too tough a task with star players like Avery Latta and Arena Larkins and Camille Little. With his monster putback and the rest of the Tar Heel team coming off a huge win at home against Duke last Saturday, the Heels are once again ranked #1 in the country and are seeded #1 in the tournament. Carolina faces the winner of the Boston College-Virginia game on Friday. ACC tourney action for the Heels starts that day at 11 a.m. Carolina Week is going to Greensboro. Be sure to check in on Monday. We'll have all the highlights and analysis of the Heels' AC tournament performance. Larkins, Little, and Latta are receiving some love this week after being named this season's All-ACC teams. This is the second year Camille Little has been named to the third team. And speaking of repeats, Avery Latta returns to the first team after being named on all 70 ballots. Orlana Larkins made second team last season and moves up to the first team this year. And you can't help but moving up with averaging more than 12 points a game. The men's basketball team will be looking for redemption Wednesday night when the Cavaliers come to town. When the Heels played in Charlottesville a month ago, the Cavaliers protected their house. The Heels couldn't sink baskets, and the Wahoos showed them who's boss. After halftime, Virginia guard J.R. Reynolds scored 10 of his 16 points in the final 11 minutes of the game to clinch the win. However, Roy Williams says his team is now playing the best it has all season. With the Heels at their peak, the Cavaliers will have to do a little more work to get a win at the Smith Center. As basketball team prepares for the game Wednesday night against Virginia, senior David Noel prepares to say goodbye to the Dean Dome. Sports reporter Brian Allen looks back to Noel's career and how the senior has led the team this year.
When you see number 34 on the court, you know it's only a matter of time before he lifts off on another high-flying dunk. But after Wednesday's home game against Virginia, David Noel won't be dazzling Dean Dome fans with his dunks ever again.
So that'll be mixed. I'll be happy, sad, up and down. It all depends, but as long as we get the win, that's the only thing that I'm really worried about.
It is exactly that kind of attitude that shows the development of Noel, from simply a role player on last year's national championship team to emotional leader of this year's squad. An all-conference wide receiver in high school, Noel originally committed to Carolina to play football. But after then head coach Matt Doherty promised Noel a scholarship for his sophomore season, he decided to focus just on basketball.
It was one of those situations where I just couldn't say no.
So how does David Noel want to be remembered?
What I do on the court, it really doesn't matter, like how people remember me. Just as long as people remember me as when Dave came into the room, like he lit up the room, he always had a smile on his face, he always can make you laugh and things like that. And that's the biggest thing for me. It's not really what I've done on the court, just the type of person that I am.
From Chapel Hill, I'm Brian Allen, Carolina Week Sports.
Shaheen and Phil, Noel's last game at the Dean Dome is Wednesday night, but he'll have one last shot against Duke in Cameron on Saturday.
All right, Sean. He certainly has been fun to watch over the last 3 years, or 4 years rather, but hopefully he'll go out in style tonight against Virginia.
That's right.
Definitely.
We'll surely miss him.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Sean. Well, calling all Chocoholics, this next story is for you.
If chocolate that's good for you sounds too good to be true, our next story will be quite the treat.
Passing gas in the presence of others is not only inappropriate,
That is so foul.
it can be deadly. Passing gas releases a fog of carbon monoxide
Grandpa,
and other poisonous fumes that can contribute to asthma and pneumonia.
you're killing us over here.
Kids shouldn't be exposed to secondhand smoke. Don't pass gas, take it outside.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
Shaheen, as if we needed another reason to eat chocolate. A new study suggests it no longer has to be a guilty pleasure.
And Phil, a lot of people are now appreciating chocolate for more than just the taste. Pam Brown has that story.
Chocolate is, it's a very sensual food, and it's also a very calming food.
Recent studies suggest that chocolate has even more healthful benefits. Makers of a new chocolate bar called CocoVia claims it increases your cardiovascular health because of its high antioxidant levels. But pediatrician and owner of Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory, Alan Lassiter, says this new chocolate has the exact same benefits as dark chocolate.
There are a great number of health benefits for chocolate. Most of these are cardiac benefits, in other words, benefits to the heart. Things that it does is that it does lower cholesterol, it lowers triglycerides, and it raises the HDL, or good cholesterol, in the body.
Lassiter says to make sure the chocolate you choose has a cocoa content of 70% or more.
So next time you need a chocolate fix, make sure the chocolate you choose has all those added health benefits. For example, this banana split has less than half the nutritional value than this dark chocolate covered apple.
Not only is dark chocolate good for your heart, it's also good for your mood.
It affects serotonin, dopamine, and phenylethylamine, which are hormones in the brain which affect the way we feel and the way we respond to our environment.
Recent studies suggest a daily dose of 3 to 5 ounces of dark chocolate combined with exercise and a healthy diet. And you don't have to worry about tooth decay. Lassiter says people who eat dark chocolate actually have a lower rate of cavities. In Chapel Hill, I'm Pam Brown, Carolina Week.
Man, as if we need another reason to eat chocolate, but just 3 to 5 ounces of chocolate a day, I don't know if I can do that.
That's right.
But before we go, one reminder, you can listen to our radio show, Carolina Connection, via podcast.
That's right. Log on to our website, carolinaweek.org, and click on Carolina Connection for more information about how to subscribe.
All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. Have a great night.
Thank you. Good night.